Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Hello, and welcome to Mr. Sherriff's version of Back to School Night. Our allotted time is just 10 minutes long, so fasten your seatbelts and get ready as I put 2 hours into this 10-minute show. And you can always email me if you need a little more. So I'm going to share my screen. This is what I do with students, is we have a Zoom, and then I share my screen often, and I'm going to share our Back to School Night. So welcome back to school. I can get rid of this little picture and you can have a disembodied voice, and I'll come back at the end. That way you can see the whole screen. So science is a way of thinking. It's a way of viewing the world based on evidence and exploration. I got a cartoon that kind of sums it up. This is why science teachers should not be given playground duty. Because we look at the world a little differently. We're thinking about it. Here he's doing a Newton's cradle. And that's what I'm going to do for your students. Not put them in a Newton's cradle, but get them to think a little differently. Interpret the world through the eyes of science and a scientist, to become a scientist. So who's teaching your child? I'm glad you asked. I'm just going to slowly put these up. The key isn't all these things. It's that I'm a lifelong learner. I've got a lot of things going on. I'm always doing something, and I want your children to become lifelong learners. So we're going to push that. Oh, I am science department chair. So we will be doing the next generation science standards. And what the heck is that? Well, I like this quote. If you teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, then we rob them of tomorrow. That's John Dewey, 1944, and I think it fits today, and even more so maybe with this distance learning, that we've really got to take into account their future, not our past. The past was the what of science, but now how we teach it and how they're going to learn it and why of science, why are we doing certain things, is essential. There's a handout with more details. I will be sending that to you shortly, if you haven't already got it. It's not easy being a tween. It's a time when the brain moves from concrete to abstract processes. Students begin to move from dependence on others to more dependence on themselves, but they need you more than ever as they take their strolls into independence. More on that later. What's my teaching philosophy? Well, if you just hear things, you might forget them. If you see them, then we might tend to remember them. The brain has a good connection between the eyes and the brain. But if you actually do it, then you understand. It comes from, and wow, fits in everything really nicely. The only issue with this is, with distance learning, it's mostly only the first two, but we're going to try to make it as much as we can toward the first three. We'll see how it does. I had them do a little thing with the weight, and we'll make other suggestions to get it closer to that third one as possible. So what do you expect? Well, it's quality over quantity. I always push that. It's going to be a little hard over distance learning because I can't walk around and work with students as much, but we're still going to push that. There's some ways. It is not textbook driven. The text is just one tool, and there is no set text for this. We'll have some readings out of texts and different things that I'll provide. The district has adopted Amplify, and that's a non-text, but there are even some text related to that tool. Projects, there'll be small and some research-driven larger ones. Laboratory experiences as much as possible. Either I will demonstrate, or at times they can actually do. Organizational tools are taught, and one of those is this science journal. That just keeping that, putting it together, putting all their thoughts down, very important to help answer questions. We'll come to that a little bit later. Zooms. So Zooms help with clarity. I really need everybody to Zoom. I find that from the piece that we did last year that people who did not come to Zooms had a lot more questions and difficulties. I do need accurate names in Zoom so I can record certain things such as role, but also who's participating and who might need more help. Zooms are also social times for students to compare thinking and ask questions of both their peers. We have a lot of interactions and with, of course, me. Google Classroom, all work. Now, once in a while, like I took track of the science journals and was checking them off in the Zoom, but then I put it into Google Classroom. So all work into Google Classroom, not emails. It just could get lost in that virtual world. Detailed instructions in the Google Classroom stream, as well as in the assignments instructions. So they get it twice, and then I even explain it in the Zoom, so 3 times. Wednesdays, pretty much that's just, it's so short, it's just review and answer questions. Sometimes it's giving them a little more time to work on their Monday, Tuesday homework. Keys to succeed. Again, that idea of quality, part of that right off the bat I'm pushing is students need to have full thoughts, not just fragments. People don't think with one words. If you go to a movie, you'd hate to have one-word dialogues. That would not work, but they think that that's fine. No, so please push that, full thoughts. Late assignments are late and we grade it later and lose points unless a reasonable explanation is made in writing. They can attach it to the assignment. That would work great. Polite squeaky wheels get the grease. I have no problem. As many emails as they need to ask, go for it. Science journals, let me pause. They're not just required, but that's where they're recording all their information, their notes, their thoughts, their discussions, and they're gonna need them completed assignments. If they don't have anything written down, these assignments will get increasingly hard. If they are filling out their science journals, that would be great. I will be giving them criterions to put into the science journals. Grades are posted on Q on a regular and periodic basis, not regular. Make sure your email is correct with the office. This also allows regular teacher email contact. If you haven't been hearing from me, then you need to fix it with them. The magic of support, we really need that. So after a Zoom, I'm usually able to extend our Zoom and answer any remaining questions. That's been working well. This is Monday through Friday. Wednesday is a little problematic. I'm, as science department chair, I have to hold meetings with the teachers and it gets pretty complicated. So Wednesday, it's hard to get a hold of me even with email. After a Zoom, there is usually plenty of time to do homework. So if they're saying like a due date's Sunday and they gave me, no, I gave them plenty of time. The reason the due dates are a little later is sometimes somebody can't come to a Zoom, so I extend the due dates to make up for some kind of technical problems. At home though, if you could encourage this Monday, Friday in each main subject area time to work on their homework, whatever they need to do, a quiet study area. That may be hard at your house, but whatever you can do to reduce as many distractions as possible, that's what they're finding is makes a big difference. And organization, I can't stress that enough. I will give them some organizational tips as we go. How to access me? Email. Don't recommend voice mailbox. There's going to be delays. Email. Conferencing. No, this is not elementary school. I have 165 students. We do not schedule conferences. If there's an issue, then we'll schedule a conference, but there's no week-long conference in elementary school at this time. If there is an issue, I recommend setting up a meeting with the school counselor, and you can conference with more than one teacher, because often if it's popping up in one site, if you fix it there, it pops up in another. It's often good to have multiple teachers. And that is it. I'm going to go back to my live. Hello, hello. So you just heard, I'd say 2 hours crammed in our short space. So you may have some questions. So I would jot them down right now, and then as soon as you can, email me. So that's, I think, a good overview of what we're doing here. And I look forward to communicating you further. If nothing else through emails, be seeing you.